Hi, I'm Frank Vagnone, CEO and President of Old Salem Museums and Gardens and the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts. I'm standing in the pavilion outside of the boys' school because I want to tell you about our latest gradual reopening. This is phase 2. If you recall, phase 1 included the launching of Salem Pathways. The next thing we opened was Winkler Bakery, which, by the way, by 2 o'clock we're almost sold out of all the baked goods, so make sure you get here at 10 when we open. The second venue that we opened for phase 1 was the Museum of Early Southern Decorative Arts, MESDA for short. And today, in this President's Update, I'm going to talk specifically about our phase 2 reopening. And phase 2 is the beginning of us opening some of our historic venues, and the boys' school is one of them. I'm going to walk around and show you the historic venues that we're going to open, tell you a little bit about what's happening there, so that when you do show up on August 4th, you know what to expect. One of our historic venues that we're going to be opening up with the phase 2 reopening is the historic boys' school. Right before COVID hit, the boys' school was completely renovated and the interior interpretation is really top-notch. So we're opening it back up. We'll have interpreters inside. There are several films that you can watch. There's a lot of hands-on activities for kids, a lot of collections drawers that you can pull out and take a look at the history of the Moravians with their missionary work and collections themselves. So this will be a really great spot to spend some time. Another venue that we'll be opening on August 4th is the Mitch House and Gardens. I'm sitting right in front of it. It's right on Main Street, right across the street from Winkler Bakery, and right across the street from the boys' school. And actually, Salem Square is right there. The reason why we're doing these particular historic venues is because they're close together. And we think that's a really good thing for parents with kids and grandparents bringing their grandkids, that they don't have to walk so far. The Mitch House is from 1772, and it really shows an agricultural side to the town of Salem. Also, we've been doing research on our Hidden Town project, which is the study of the enslaved in the town of Salem, and that updated research will be on display not only at the Mitch House, but at the boys' school and at Winkler Bakery. So when you come to the Mitch House on August 4th for our phase 2 reopening, remember that part of the interpreted landscape is this garden behind the Mitch House. Not only does it have extensive vegetable gardens in the back, it also has an exterior bake oven and a shed, and then the house is over here to my left. All of those pieces have had restoration work done to them in preparation for the reopening, so just really spend some time in the garden space of the Mitch House. This was such an important thing to the Moravians. You'll notice that the land goes from Main Street all the way back to Salt Street, and that's the way all of these houses were set up. So I've got you now in the Single Brothers garden. So the Single Brothers house and workshop are right behind me. Although they're not open in this phase of the reopening for Old Salem, the gardens are, so make sure you visit them. We are still producing vegetables for local food banks. So far, last year and this year to date, we've donated over 2.5 tons of our produce to local food banks. I'm really proud of our horticulture and garden division for being able to do this. Another of our Main Street venues that will be open for phase 2 on August 4th is going to be our new seed saving lab. Now, even though the building is a historic building, the seed saving lab has a much broader interpretation to it. We talk about seed saving, the process itself. We're talking about environmental social justice. We're talking about our growing of heirloom plants, and then also our production of vegetables for local food banks. Our new seed saving lab is fairly close to Winkler Bakery and to the Mitch House and the boys' school. This will be part of our Fresh Coat initiative as well. We'll be repainting the building. There's some woodwork that needs to be restored. All of that will be happening this year. Since May, Winkler Bakery has been open. We upfitted the interior, we repainted the exterior, we added benches and tables on the outside. The porch has been restored. Everything about Winkler is ready for you to visit. And in fact, you won't be the only one, because since we've opened, we have cars lining up for blocks, and most of our baked goods are selling off the shelf by the end of the day. Winkler, along with everything else, is open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Something that we've been doing really all last year, we're continuing it this year, is that we've donated over 14,000 loaves of Moravian white bread to local food banks. We're continuing it this year, and we'll be doing some percentage of it next year as well. One of the ways that we can continue to bake bread and grow vegetables for local food banks are the contributions and donations from people like you. So in Winkler and in our other historic venues, we're going to be having these items which are called dip jars. You take your credit card, you dip it inside of the slot, and in this case, an automatic donation of $5 goes to Old Salem's operations. This money will help us not only grow the vegetables and bake the bread, but it will help us with our educational programs, our digital content. It will really help us get through 2021. So when you're visiting us with Phase 2 reopening, please dip your credit card and help us get through 2021. Now we're at the Old Salem Visitor Center. For Phase 2 reopening, the Visitor Center is going to open up, and it's not just going to be a place to buy tickets. In fact, we're starting some new visitor engagement projects. Come on in. So in 2019, before COVID, we opened up the Moravian Research and Archaeology Lab. It rests here in the Visitor Center. During our Phase 2 reopening, there will be hours that this space will be open. You'll be able to look at the archaeological artifacts, talk to the researchers. This is where all of our hidden town research is taking place. So it will be a kind of location in the Visitor Center that you can see more behind the scenes work that we've been doing. Right now, the Visitor Center looks a little messy. I'm looking at the architectural drawings, and we're putting in new lighting. It's a part of the Fresh Coat initiative. Not only are we pressure washing and repainting the exterior, we're doing upfits on the interior. The reason why we're doing this electrical work and upfit for the interior of the Visitor Center is that we're putting together a brand new exhibit about transportation. So, as I said, a lot of this work is happening because we brought these into the Visitor Center. This is a really interesting collection item. It's really been in our back building for 20 plus years, and you'll be able to see that there's a lot of dust on top of it. So we're going to be doing extensive cleaning on all of these carriages. We're not only bringing carriages, but other items that have to do with transportation. We thought it would be kind of fun as people start to get out of the COVID pandemic and we all start traveling a bit, that we can look at historically what transportation would have looked like. So these will be dispersed throughout the Visitor Center, and that's why we need the new lighting, because we want to make sure that we can see them. We're also pulling out something that hasn't been seen in literally multiple decades. This is the original model for the formation of Old Salem as a living history site from 1950. And so right here next to me, the boys' school, Winkler Bakery, the hat shop, the Butner House, and then Herbst's house. And remember, Herbst is where the seed saving lab is. So all of these parts of this model will be put together, we'll label it, and you'll be able to come into the Visitor Center and get a sense of the history of Old Salem because Old Salem was really formed in a period that is the beginning of mass automobile transit and tourism. And it's one of the reasons why this model is going to be in the visitor center, is you're going to be able to see how they viewed Old Salem as a tourist attraction. Thanks for joining me in this travel through the historic district in anticipation of our August 4th Phase 2 reopening. As you can tell behind me, we're busy with our Fresh Coat initiative, repainting, touching up, restoring, and in this case, putting in new exhibits in the visitor center. Please be aware that this Friday, I'm giving a live Q&A, Ask Me Anything, and we'll put the link up soon. We are also anticipating Phase 3 reopening in October. Hopefully we'll be close to 100% opened. So bear with us as we slowly and gradually get to the point that we can welcome you back fully to the historic district. Thanks. Bye-bye.